with all due respect.
All right, we're going live. Man, I always feel like the best conversations happen before we go live. Josh, I can't tell you how many times we've had conversations with people and we've been like, uh, man, you missed the whole first 20 minutes was awesome and you're never live. So like I realized I'm just going live. For those that don't know, this is with all due respect. A lot of you guys know that my business partner Gray is getting married and she's like, hey, go do your thing around jujitsu. And I said, cool, I'm going to do some episodes around jujitsu. And I know a lot of those people. And what I wanted it to be was people in jujitsu that I meet that I wanted to. Josh, this is honestly just my way to force you to sit down and have a conversation with me. Because,
I'm
like,
happy
I
to do
find
it.
that, like, as we get into grown-ups and become adults, you don't have time for conversations and hang out with people. And it's just a lot easier to be like, hey, man, come on my podcast. And you're like, oh, great. And they think I'm Joe Rogan or something. And I'm like, no, dude, like five people are going to watch it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man.
I'll get lucky if my wife watches it. If your wife watches it, cool. But it's kind of one of those things where like it forces me to have a conversation with people. And in jujitsu, you just meet people that you would never ever meet outside of life
Yeah.
because we all live in our little silos. And when I asked you to be on this, I kind of feel like you were kind of you're like, what? Okay, but why? And I'm like, no, Josh, what you do is unique. I've never met anybody that does what you do. And do us a favor, introduce yourself, the business you own. You always explain it like it's like, oh, why would anybody care? And I'm like, no, this is interesting, right? Explain to our audience who you are, what we do. We'll talk a little bit about what you do. We'll talk a little about jujitsu, and I just think people need to hear what you do.
Oh, absolutely. First off, thanks so much for having me on. I love these captive conversations because the feeling's mutual. I've wanted to hang out and sit down with you as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so our business is Bricker and Beam, and we make high-end custom and signature furniture. So what that looks like practically are dining tables, credenzas, media cabinets. In fact, I've got one of them behind me here. This is our Orthos console. Desks, coffee tables. We do residential stuff, commercial stuff. We ship stuff all over the United States, internationally at times. And really, we just specialize in making heirloom quality pieces. I always say that we make furniture that tells a story. And to me, that's imparting a little bit of our story into a client's home or into somebody else's story, or in some cases, even using meaningful material from a client's property, whether it's a tree that fell down in a storm or something, and using our craftsmanship to tell their story and allow the story of their family to kind of continue on through that. So there's a lot to go into there, but that's in a nutshell what we do.
No, and when you first told me what you do, and you kind of say like, "Oh, I make furniture," like da da da, and I'm like, "Oh, cool." And then like I started following you on social, and you posted something, and I'm like, "Wait, this just ain't like grandma's coffee table. Like this is something more than that." Like because it was so original. You guys were like, I think it was a fast forward video that you were making something or like doing a table, and you fast forward it, and it was like obviously something that took hours to do, hours to do, and you fast forward it to like 1 minute. And I became intrigued with this concept. And then I just started asking you a little bit about jujitsu. I'm like, how do you ship a 9 foot table? Like the logistics of the whole business started coming into my brain.
Yeah.
And like me and my wife, I think one time we're sitting in the bed scrolling our phones, and she's intrigued, and we have an old credenza that was my grandmother's. And it was like this ugly yellow. And I remember coming to you and be like, "Hey, I want to paint this thing green." And you told me what to paint, do it, and we did it. We did it by ourselves, put gold on it, and I was like, and that all came from watching your stuff.
It
And
looked
I was like,
amazing, by the way. You guys did a great job.
that was horrible. A dog scratched it up, so I got to do it again. But I'm like, I said, this is a really interesting business. And you're in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm gonna for our audience put stuff up so they can see the visual. Um, to me, it's kind of like when somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, what do you do?" Or a client, and they're like, "Oh, I'm an artist." I'm like, Yeah, they draw, right? Person paints at their house, like whatever. And then you see their painting and you're like, oh no, this is incredible. Like this person's talented. That's what I felt when I first saw some of the things you were doing. And then you were like, yeah, we're shipping in these big pieces of wood from Portland and I'm like, wait. Like, no, this is a whole deal here, right? Where did the name Bricker and Beam? Because I feel like when you say it to people, you got to be like Bricker and Beam. You couldn't just call it Josh's Furniture,
Yeah. Well,
right?
it's funny that you said that, or that you say that, because when I started out, I was really intentional with the name. Like I said, I always say that we make furniture that tells a story. And so where this all started was when I was a kid, I would spend my summers up in Ohio at my grandfather's farm. He had probably 30 plus acres, and there was, woods to explore, a stream, and, basically everything that a little boy would want, tractors and BB guns and chainsaws and axes, bow and arrow, whatever you want. A little wood shop where we would learn some things. And I just remember it being one of the coolest places. I just thought it was like Disney World before I even knew what Disney World was. And so as a kid growing up and being there and having that spark of excitement of just feeling like anything could happen, you could essentially be yourself, explore, do whatever you wanted to do. It was just like a really special place for me. And so that was when I was introduced to woodworking and building and sawing and all of these things. I remember I was probably about 8 years old, and my grandfather hired a team of Amish sawyers to come thin out some of the hardwoods. And these guys came with their beards and the suspenders, their hats, and like the biggest horses that I've ever seen. And they started cutting down these trees and cutting it into lumber. And I was like, what are they doing with all of this? And my grandfather was like, well, they're furniture makers. They make furniture out of all of this. And that was the first time I just had this light bulb of like, oh, so I don't have to sit at a desk. I can go do something creative, but like not in a sculptural painty sort of way, but like in an artistic craftsman, like a different method.
Mm.
And so, as the years went by, that always kind of stuck with me. So when it was time to start Bricker and Beam, I was trying to find a way to capture that. And so obviously for privacy purposes, I didn't want to include my grandfather's name or anything specifically in there. Um, but the point as we're driving up to Ohio, I know this is a long story, but
No,
bear with me.
no. Well, I already have questions because you just fast forwarded this whole part and said, well, when it's time to start Bricker and Beam, I'm sure that had to happen in phases of like, okay, I'm going to start it.
Oh, absolutely. I'll come back. I'll go forward and then we'll
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back.
yeah.
So as I was going up to Ohio every summer, there was this one place, because you're driving for 10 hours up to Ohio. It takes forever. And so there was this one place next to the Bricker family farm. It was this huge, multifaceted farm. And there's this giant hill. And we always called it Bricker Hill because it was next to the Bricker family farm. And so when we got to Bricker Hill, that was the point where we knew that we were close. And we all started to get really excited to be at this magical special place. And so as I was going to name the business, I was like, I think that's the thing, that first moment of excitement to get to grandpa's house, to get to all of the woodworking, the chainsaws, the tractors, all of like this wonderland of place. That's it. So Bricker Hill, Bricker and Beam, I kind of tried to capture it all. And it's more just sentimental for me. But that's essentially where it came from.
No, man, I have found in business, people aren't some always just going to purchase furniture or whatever you sell. They're going to purchase a story
Hmm.
and they're going to purchase what goes into that story.
Hmm.
And I think that's part of people wanting to support and be involved in a brand that isn't just some dude doing furniture,
Yeah.
right? Do you have any like formal training in using these tools or like do you have all 10 fingers still? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Thankfully, yes.
yeah, right. Like that's what I first think of is like, well, how many times do you got to screw up before you create a craftsman trade like this? how did you learn to do this? Like, how did you learn to make furniture like this?
Yeah. So it's a blend of a lot of things. So like I said, my grandfather taught me the basics of woodworking growing up. He was a woodworker, and my great grandfather, his father, was like a master craftsman. He was like a
Okay.
the old school home builders, like before there was a specialized trade for each little thing, where one person would handle everything from the roofing to the windows to the framing to the cabinets. He even built like little wooden toys, and so a lot of it was sort of, I would say, somewhat passed down through certain interactions there. There was a whole lot of it that I just sort of fiddled around with and figured out. One of the things I'll say about the woodworking community is that it's probably one of the most helpful and like supportive communities I've ever been in contact with. I mean, jujitsu is honestly a lot like that too, where you don't even really know that much about somebody, but you have this common ground and you're always willing to share and to help.
Mhm.
And obviously, you have the bad eggs here and there, but I owe a lot of any type of success that we've had to local woodworkers who I remember biting off more than I could chew on this big maple dining table. I couldn't get the boards to join and go together seamlessly. And he said, just bring it over to my shop. And he like helped me mill everything up, glued it all up for me, and didn't charge me a penny. He just said, bring me some beer sometime.
Mhm.
And like that's just a snapshot of it. So there's a lot of things that I have learned, but I've learned through the generosity of others.
Do you feel an obligation to be like that too? Like, are there people that have come to you that know Bricker and Beam exists? They're a woodworker or they're doing something, and you're like, oh, just let me see it real quick, or let me, do you do
Yeah.
a little bit of that too? Like,
Yeah, obviously, it's one of those things that you pay it forward.
yeah,
I try to do that wherever I can. And obviously, sometimes it's more practical than others. If we have 17 deadlines and
yeah.
somebody needs something, but I'm always looking for opportunities to try to pay that forward and just to try to support other artists, other craftsmen, other people that are getting into a thing. That's we were talking off camera about be who you needed when you were younger. And I just remember kind of starting out and just realizing, like, man, I made this decision and I'm in way over my head. I don't even know what I don't know, um, but benefiting so much from other people helping. And so it's important to me in whatever way I can to help others as well. Yeah.
So was there a little bit of ignorance when you started the business? Like, I don't know, I'm just gonna make some furniture. And like if you would have if later on down the line Josh went back to be like, hey, this is how hard it's gonna be, would you be like, well, I don't want to do that? Like you're starting it. I want to know. Here's what I want to know. At what point were you like, wow, I think I can make something people can sell? Like, did somebody first come to you and be like, hey, Josh, I noticed you're making this kind of stuff. Can you make me a table?
Yeah, so that's funny that you say that. What comes to mind is I saw something the other day that said we did this not because it was easy, but because we thought it would be easy. And I think it's sort of similar to that. But I remember in college, I was working at a restaurant, bartending and serving tables, like a casual fine dining type restaurant. And the restaurant started to get a little bit slower, and so I would just be fiddling around making cutting boards, whatever entry level woodworking projects on the side. And Brittany and I were like just married at the time, and I was like, man, what am I doing? I got to make some more money here. So I was just trying to explore all different options. And at the time, we had like hand me down furniture, and so I was like, man, we need a coffee table and some side tables and some things. So I started making those, and it got to where people would see them and order, and these are the worst pieces of furniture I've ever made to this day. But people would see those and say, hey, could you make me a set? And I would charge like enough to pay for the materials. Like sometimes I like pulled them out of dumpsters. Like it was terrible. Um, but it got enough traction to where people started seeing it and say like, hey, I want to order. And then I got enough orders to where I was able to quit the restaurant job and just do it full time. And I was just thinking, kind of just like it's cliche, but YOLO. Like I'm only going to get one chance with this much or this little of responsibility, like this opportunity to do it. Worst case scenario, it fails in a year, and then I just like go back to doing what I was doing or try something new.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of how it all started. But
How did
thankfully,
people see your stuff? You post it on social media? Did you just tell a family member? Or they told other people? Somebody came over to somebody's house and like, hey, I like that table. Where'd you get it?
yes, kind of all of
Okay.
the above. Just, I was starting a basic Instagram account at the very, very, very beginning for like a year. I had a different business name. I called it Reclaim Workshop. And the idea was that all of the materials were reclaimed. There was like some more metaphorical issue or things going on there. But pretty soon I realized that like that was sort of in, I guess, 2011, 2012, when everybody was doing reclaimed wood. And I was like, there's going to be a lot harder of a time differentiating here. And so I need to rebrand. And so that's when I started. And then like pretty soon after that, we started making stuff for places around town. We made the tables at Motor Supply restaurant, Terra, Hendrix, and some of these other places. And it was just like super cool to have other people believe in what we were doing. And
And I figure in that kind of business, someone's gonna be like, hey, who did your custom tables? I'm
yeah,
doing a restaurant. They all know each other,
yeah,
right? And so Tara, Motor Supply,
hmm
and they just, hey, I need 20 tables, 15 tables to look like this.
basically, yeah. So all the ones at Motor Supply and Terra we did another restaurant, Hendrix, on Main Street.
Yep.
At some point later down the road, we did there's a in town Hotel Trundle, Marcus and
Well,
Rita.
okay, so their children are
Yeah.
friends with my children.
Oh, nice. They're great
Yeah.
people.
Yes. And I another okay, I can see that because she's very artsy.
Yeah.
And my wife loves her. They're great people. The hotel is amazingly trendy
Yeah.
and awesome. Like you're like, that's in Colombia. Another one of those, man, I feel like I'm bashing Colombia. I'm not bashing Colombia. I love it here. I live it here. I love it here. I don't want to live anywhere else for anybody who wants to know. But it is Columbia, South Carolina, right?
Mhm.
And I only say that from like it's just a little bit of a simpler place in some areas, right? And what did you do at Hotel Trundle?
We did all of the beds and
Oh my
their
goodness.
community table and a few like accent pieces around the place.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it was
that
like
place,
60 something beds.
yeah, 60 beds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place is super cool,
Yeah.
super trendy, super visual. My wife loves the place, and the people that own it are very great, are wonderful people. Their
Yeah.
kids, my kid, and they play sports together. And and so I can now see the connection of a place like Hotel Trundle
hmm
and you from an art perspective.
hmm
And last time we spoke, you said something that was very interesting. You're kind of wanting to merge the furniture business craftsman with the art side of it.
Yeah.
And when I see, and I'll put this up I'll find a way to put this up. The piece you did that's like graffiti.
Mhm.
I am super into you can't see it above me, but I have a Basquiat painting above me
Oh, nice.
in not the original, if anybody want, the original Basquiat. No. Um the graffiti and the tagging and that style of art and the culture that comes from that art, I'm very interested and curious about that kind of art and that culture
hmm
has a gritty street vibe to it. And when I saw that piece of art, I'm going to call it art that you did, furniture art that you did, I'm like, that would be really cool to have somebody have that. If we're going back, you did Trundle, you did a bunch of stuff in Colombia. What was the time frame between like I'm doing local stuff and local people know about me? At this point, you're probably like, all right, I'm in a full-time business now, right? Like this isn't just something I do. This is a thing.
Yeah.
And it's growing and the market wants it, right?
Yeah.
By the time you do those restaurants and the tables and 60 tables, you're now you now have a business whether you want one or not.
Yeah,
right? Don't
yeah,
you think?
yeah.
At what point what was the process of Columbia to, I think one time you told me you were building a piece of furniture to ship to some guy's house in Miami.
Yeah.
It was this ridiculously big piece. And I'm like, wait, how are the, what happened? Was there a takeoff point? One thing I can do in training athletes, I can take all of the athletes that even still train at, oh, I got the shirt on, at Athletes Arena or Arena Athletic Club. I can almost take a lot of those people that are still there and build it back to five or six people I originally started training when I first moved here that were athletes. Like I could build our professional baseball clientele down to one person.
Hmm.
I started training one person who connected to one person that boomed to 15 professional baseball players.
Yeah.
Can you kind of do that a little bit with your business, or does social media make it grow so different these
Uh,
days?
that's a really good question. Um, I think it's a little bit different in the sense that the way that we typically grow, I mean, like with anything, it's networking, relationships, and just, showing that you're a trustworthy person that knows what they're doing. But I think for us, a lot of it was a sort of twofold. I think some of it was like self-confidence as a creative, because I think one of the things that people don't know, as you see people doing creative things and you just assume that they're really assured of whatever they're doing. And sometimes you put yourself out there and you're like, I don't know if everybody's going to think that I'm a total idiot for doing this, because it's like not a typical, you're not an attorney, you're not a banker, you're not something that people are like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You sell insurance. You're like, hey, I'm gonna just like bet on myself and try this crazy artistic thing. And so I think that some of it's just having the confidence of like, here's this thing that I designed that I think is cool, but I don't know if it's cool. And then pitching it to people like interior designers, architects, and the people in the trade that look at it and validate it and say like, actually, yeah, this is really cool. We're doing a project in Manhattan. Can you send us one of these coffee tables or whatever it is? And so a lot of it has been networking with people, interior designers, uh, architects, people that are planning out these spaces, and just really developing good relationships with them. So they help almost act as sales reps for some of your stuff, or they'll call and say, hey, I saw that you did this really cool credenza, like our vandalism one
Mhm.
that you mentioned, or something else. Like, we love this. Could we tweak a few things and turn it into a bathroom vanity, or, whatever it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah, that makes sense. When you, I'm sure you do custom pieces. That's a big part of what you do. And that's the
Yeah.
attraction is there are people that have enough money that want to know that the one piece of furniture they have in their house that nobody else has. You're
Yeah.
not going to go to the neighbors and you're not going to, this ain't Value City furniture, right?
Hopefully not.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this is, you can go to my house and know that that's the only original piece ever.
Yeah.
And to enable to do that, you have to be able to take somebody's vision and what they're telling you
Mhm.
and put it on a furniture, knowing that like this isn't like, hey, just can you give me a refund and do it again? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like this isn't just like, oh, it's not really what I was thinking. I'll just return it.
Yeah.
No, this is it.
Yeah.
What do you do when somebody comes to you and I say I came to you and said, hey, my grandma had this really awesome piece of furniture. I would like to duplicate it, but make it kind of cool this way. And in their head, they know what they're thinking,
Hmm.
but they have to clearly communicate that to you so you can recreate what's in their brain.
Hmm.
What does that process look like?
Mm. I think anytime you're creating a bespoke uh, item for someone, whether it's a tailored suit or a dress or a pair of shoes or even a tailored workout, if I came to you and said, hey, I've gotten so weak, my shoulders are terrible
Yeah.
and all this, like you would take all of those things in. And then in your mind, because of all of the experience that you have and all of the expertise that you have, you would say, okay, based on what I know, I think this is probably the best path forward. And then you start making suggestions like, well, what if we did this? Maybe we try
Yep.
this and see if this works, and you get into it and you say, you know, tell me if I'm totally off base here. And they will. But in the instance or in the case that you mentioned, you take the design and then say, okay, well, what about it do you not like? Or what are you trying to achieve here? Maybe you want to make a custom tray for your Xbox, I don't know, whatever number Xboxes are at these days. And then, you want your TV to pop up out of the back or something like that. We can start to take all of these ingredients and put them on into a pot or onto a page and then kind of mix and match. And I think that's where the engineering and the artistry sort of come together
Okay,
because
I was gonna ask that. Do you do like CAD drawings and some sort of mock-up?
yes.
I don't
So
even
I'm
know
not
if
very good
mock-up
at
is
it.
the word. I don't know. I don't even know if mock-up is the word, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
do you show them, here's an idea on paper in a drawing? Are we in the right area?
Absolutely. So I'll have a 3D modeling software. I'm by no means the most proficient 3D modeler out there. But usually I'm dangerous enough to be able to communicate an idea.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times I can say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Tell me if it's totally off. And more often than not, people, some people have a hard time communicating it verbally, but they'll know it when they see it, or they'll say, oh yeah, I love all of this except for I don't like these knobs, or like I don't like the way the bass is. Can we change that, etc. And I found that that's really helpful in kind of narrowing things down towards the end.
Yeah, that's tough, man, because you're probably coming to people who come to you just like you talking about your business and the passion and the history and the emotion that comes from like something as what's the word I'm looking for? Something as I don't want to use the word romantic, but I said just something as
Yeah, yeah,
sensitive
yeah,
as, hey, it's named after when I was a kid. I went to my grandparents, and it was like Disney World for me, and I named it after this. That's pretty passionate.
yeah.
You're probably dealing with some people that are doing very passionate projects.
Oh,
That's going
absolutely.
there, I'm creating something that's going in. Our baby is being born. We're putting a piece of furniture that I want to be with our baby for the rest of her life.
Mhm.
Because now that you say this, my dad taught a computer design class in college and high school or in high school, and they would design projects and then go into the wood shop and create projects like clocks and things like that.
Yeah,
And these are 16-year-old kids, and they'd make a car or a clock or they'd make something at their house. And we have furniture that my father built that's in storage that everybody's afraid to get rid of. I think at this past weekend I was at my our storage with my sister, and my dad built these deacon benches and
yeah.
these clocks, and we don't know what to do with them. And I'm like, this sounds morbid, but I was like, my dad's dead, my mom's still alive, but there's some emotion behind it, and I'm like, man, if we get rid of these, we can't get rid of them until mom dies.
Uh,
I know
yeah,
that's horrible to say. I'm not saying,
yeah.
my mom, people die, but like my mom would be heartbroken.
Hmm.
And as I start to connect my life to what you do, my dad made these pieces for kids. Like the deacon bench was in my sister's bedroom.
Yeah,
You're creating things for people that are probably saying, hey, our baby is born. This is something that's going to go in her bedroom, but we want her to pass it on to her kids and her kids and be family. You better be pretty, I mean, that's a big responsibility. Don't you feel that a little bit?
oh, absolutely. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm working with a client here in town, and I kind of alluded to that earlier. It was just top of mind, but there's a big white oak tree that came down and on their family's property. It's like 150-year old oak tree, and it came down in one like Helene or one of those storms recently. And he called me up and said, "Hey, we used to climb in this tree when we were kids. We used to play, and like this was a meaningful tree to us and all the cousins in the family. It fell down. We want you to do something special with it." And we want a few different cabinets, versions of signature designs that we have. But what do you think? You think you're up for that? And to me, it is a little bit daunting, but to me, I consider that one of the biggest honors of anything that I do.
I was going to say that. How honored you are that you're being asked to immortalize a tree
Hmm.
for a family whose kids can be like, hey, this was on our land.
Hmm.
Just down the road, it's a table. We're eating off it. My kids are sitting at it.
Yeah,
Right. I know this might not even be the same, but have you ever seen the movie The Natural
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when he bakes the baseball bat out of the tree hit by lightning?
Yep, yep,
Right. That's what it almost reminds me of.
absolutely.
Where the tree went down, he made a baseball bat out of it. He put a lightning bolt on it. He hits a home run with it.
Yeah,
Right. Uh, those stories are what intrigued me about your business. The other thing that intrigued me about your business was I'm like, hey, these pieces of wood got to come from somewhere,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, you're not just going out in the backyard and whacking down a tree because you told me that a lot of the things you make are done from a single piece.
Mhm.
And you told me one time that you guys built a table off a single piece cut of wood. And I go, where do you find? I've never seen a tree that's that big.
Yeah.
You create, where is this? What does sourcing look like for you? Do you do local sourcing? Is it people are you getting things from Canada? Like how? Because if somebody comes to you and is like, "Hey, I want a single piece, 12-foot wood piece of for our business, and I want it in our office, and this is the place where all of our attorneys are going to sit down, and I want it to be 12 feet." If you can do it or not has to depend on whether or not you can even find the wood or the tree.
Totally. And we have different options that we can do for different pieces and different things. And for all of the dimensional lumber, so
Oh,
like you think standard boards of, oak and walnut and other hardwoods, we try to support as local as humanly possible. So like this is a quick tangent, but I'm gonna take a tangent to come back.
okay, yeah.
Like most furniture these days, you even like the restoration hardwares, the crate and barrels, the places that people typically go, and they'll say like solid hardwood, sustainably sourced hardwood, blah 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 blah. But what it is that it's a fast growing rubber wood like teak substitute that grows in Malaysia or something. And it's like they're not technically wrong, but I think there's a little bit of shenanigans with the marketing on that. And so it's always important to me to support local businesses. Because I mean, I think for the longest time, for decades and centuries, we were a series of small communities that all supported one another. And so to me, it's important to try to find local sawmills here in South Carolina, in North Carolina, to use for all of our lumber. Occasionally, to your point though, people will want these giant slab tables. Like we made one for an electrical contractor up in the upstate, and it was like 5 feet wide and 16 feet long, and it was all one single slab of wood. So you imagine that 5 feet wide, 60 inches wide by 16 feet long. It was all one tree. And the only place where we could source that is in the Pacific Northwest. Because, you think of the redwoods in Northern California, there's just like a certain climate and, conditions that create these gigantic trees. And so when the need arises, well, we've got a great network of suppliers that we reach out to and try to find those giant slabs. But otherwise, we try to support as local as we can.
I imagine supply and demand on things like that. I have a friend of mine that owns a Porsche dealership,
Yeah.
and he says one of the greatest things he's ever said. And I learned so much from training this guy. I trained him. I mean, he started washing cars when he was like 13 years old. One of those
Yeah.
guys at a car
Yeah.
dealership, and now he owns Porsche dealerships. Like just a story of you're like, this guy grew up with nothing, was washing cars so he could buy shoes.
Yeah,
Now he owns Porsche dealerships.
that's awesome.
And he's like, Josh, when people ask me how much a Porsche costs, I tell them because they had to ask, they can't afford it. And I just laughed
Yeah,
because he's like, man, a lot of people, most people buy Porsches, they're not financing, they're sending the check,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
When you deal with something of somebody that's like, I want this piece of wood, I want to cut for this, and this is what I want. I don't ever believe that price doesn't matter. Price always, you could tell them $3 million that matters, right? But do you find that people who want that type of custom piece, it's not an issue. They just want to get it done.
I do. Obviously, we're not looking to try to squeeze out the extra dollar from anybody. That's not our purpose. But that's sort of why we created the different. I would say it's not even a tier system, but it's a different category system within the business. So we have our signature products. We have which are just like all original designs, which I can get into.
Mhm.
We also have the black label, which is a little bit more organic, artistic. It's more of I would say, a functional piece of art. So each one is signed, dated, and commissioned. So, this is Orthos cabinet number 2 behind me,
Mhm.
etc. And then we also have those bespoke projects. And the bespoke project is for someone that's just like, I don't really have a budget. I just want something awesome that nobody else has. And I need it for this specific purpose. And I want you to make me a custom 911 Porsche or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah.
There certainly are, there's people that run the gamut of all of those different things. And we try to offer something special for every one of them.
How many times are you dealing with the actual person, or does that person have a designer that is doing it for them and you know them and that relationship has been built? And they're like, well, I know a guy that did something for my client. They contact you because rich people hire people to design their home, apparently. Right.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's insightful because that's the truth. With interior design and or just designing a home, a lot of times, somebody has a really nice house, and in some cases, a really big nice house. And I don't think people give interior designers enough credit because there's so much that goes into curating all of the different spaces and picking out light fixtures and knobs and furniture and whatever. And so to me, it's a little bit of both. Like, we've got this one client that we made a table, actually the one that you mentioned, we made a table or a series of tables and credenzas for his space in Miami. And he was so impressed, I guess, that he was like, hey, I've got a house in Aspen and a condo in Manhattan. Could you make some stuff for that as well? And so, like, sometimes that happens. And then sometimes the designer says, hey, we've got somebody's vacation home in the Hamptons that we need to outfit before they get back from their vacation in Prague, or just like something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And then, sometimes it's one piece, one statement piece along, a wall. Sometimes it's multiple pieces, but it kind of is both and. But we're happy to do either one.
You have families, you have a family, right? And you always have to start looking at like, where are we going? Like, what are we
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
Like, what's going on? Right? Do you have a vision in your head if somebody said, hey, Bricker and Beam, you're 55, you're ready to be done. You bought the property of the farm in Ohio, you're moving back, you're going to go back to your dream place that built the business,
Yeah.
Bricker Hill. You're moving back there, you're done, kids are older, you and your wife. What does Bricker and Beam look like to you when you're 55?
Hmm. Well, obviously, nobody has a crystal ball. You don't know how things are going to pan out. But to me, um, in fact, I have a really talented friend who made a brand video for us a year or so ago. And the whole narrative arc of the brand video is essentially I grew up and had this like special place, this special, people investing, people trying to create this safe space. I don't know if safe space is the right way to say it, but like I felt very fortunate to have people help me along the way. And so to me, I think I started Bricker and Beam trying to prove a lot of things, both to myself, to the world, to family members, to whatever. And I think at this point, I feel like I've proven a lot of the things that I was setting out to prove, even if they were very low standards or a low bar. But I think moving forward for the next chapter is really trying to invest in other artists, really trying to find ways to pour back into other people and almost like kind of create that full circle of, giving to others what was given to me. And so, like I mentioned, we've got a farm out here. We've got 30 acres and going to hopefully build a nice workshop here in the next few months. And, I would love to do things like have a woodworking class for young boys or young girls to come in and say, hey, here's how to make something basic, just to like instill that like confidence of like, at least, I know how to do this thing, or just to, I don't want to say pour back into the next generation because that sounds like I'm 75 years old. But just to be intentional, I guess, moving forward and try to like pay it forward again.
It's interesting. I had a conversation with somebody recently. Um, that I think you're seeing a new wave in education.
Mhm.
Um, I talk to kids all day that don't know how to cook food.
Yeah.
I talk to kids all day that don't know how to change a tire.
Hmm.
Um, I talk to people all day that are two generations away from changing out a toilet and just going to Walmart and buying it, or going to Lowe's and changing out, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These skills like that we're two or three generations away from nobody knowing how to do anything.
Hmm.
To where the most valuable person in your neighborhood is going to be your fix-it guy who never went to college and grew up on a farm and just knows how to fix stuff,
Yeah.
because nobody knows how to do that anymore,
Hmm.
right? Um, I am one of those people. My sister, I got a new ceiling fan, and my sister's like, just do this and put the fan up. And I'm like, I'll be dead. I'll electrocute myself. I
Yeah.
promise you. Like, it's not, I don't do these, like, I will kill myself. And it's like my sister's gonna say, well, I'll come over and do it, for crying out loud. It's like
Yeah.
demoralizing. And I'm like, so my testosterone level got cut in half in one relationship. And as you say that, I think there is a market for educators who are people that are trying to educate kids, to teach them skills of how to work with their hands and do things with their hands,
Hmm.
right? Because we probably have kids that can write incredible code
Hmm.
that wouldn't even know what to do if they blew a tire,
Yeah.
right? And I like that pouring into it. Do you see ever the dilemma of somebody coming in and saying, hey, we see a lot of things that you do. We are a private investment firm. We're private equity. We have equity people, and we want to scale what you do and take that piece of furniture, and we want to make 2,000 of them. But man, we think we need to do a million of these ways to cut costs. And we just think we need to get that wood from Malaysia and just give it, like, make it super cookie cutter, but you're going to be a millionaire and never have to work again.
Well, I would say call me, first of all.
Yeah,
Um,
it's worth the conversation.
worth the conversation.
Hey, if you're hearing this podcast and you can do that, we'll give you the man's email, all right? Yeah.
um, but no, you know, I do this not to become a multimillionaire. I do this because I genuinely love to do it. It sucks sometimes. It's hard, just like anything.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, um, the reason that I know I keep coming back to the black label, but that's sort of a recent thing that we've done. To me, it's just as much about the passion for creating. Like, okay, say that happens, I'm still going to find another way to create something else. That's just who I am. And so to me, I'm not sure if you're familiar of Simon Sinek, I think is his name, with
Yep.
Find Your Why and Start with Why.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And for me, coming back to like, okay, what's that spark? Being a kid or even a young man, what are the things that you always do that you would do for free that are just you can't help but not do? And for me, it's helping other people and creating things. And if I can find a way to do both of those things at the same time, I'm a happy man. So if it's alongside an investment firm that wants to pay me millions of dollars to help do that and
So be
accomplish
it.
that vision, then that's great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not ultimately the goal.
Yeah. Here's the ultimate question. Of all of this journey, it led you to start jujitsu, and that's where we met, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's so cool to be in a class and in a room. I used to think it was jujitsu that I loved, but I found out it is the people.
yeah.
Yeah, I love jujitsu. I got into it. It's a big part of my life. The running joke in my family is it's the longest living relationship I have that doesn't have my last name. The longest relationship I have in life outside of something, I have a longer relationship with jujitsu than I do my wife. I always tell her like, it's like, hey, I competed in jujitsu before we met.
Yeah. How long have you been into it? I don't even know.
I first competed in 2010.
Oh, wow. So a minute.
So the story is I have 11 or 12 years of training in the last 15 years, minus life change, like moving away, moving back, neck surgery, a blown knee, and a blown arm.
Goodness.
Right. So like people are like, well, how long have you been training? Well, I got 11 years and 15. That's
Yeah,
how jujitsu works.
yeah.
That's how when we're like, oh, you've been training 20 years. I've been doing 20. No, no, I got this many years in training
Hmm.
because my body is completely annihilated from the sport.
Yeah.
And it's the people that I love. Like, and it's the community that it brings. And the fact that it's really, really, really hard. It's I tell people jujitsu is like traveling in a circle and waiting until you get to the end because all you do is keep traveling the circle and nobody shows you the end.
Hmm.
And there is no end result of doing this. People say a black belt is it, but I found that's not it at all.
Hmm.
What made you go, of all these things I'm doing, I'm building, I live out in Blythewood, I'm building furniture. I think I want to do jujitsu.
Yeah. So it's funny. I was wanting to get into it, and I was talking to a couple friends that I knew that trained, and I think they were white or blue belts, and riding the high of getting started and just being so amped about jujitsu. Not that I'm still not amped, but
Yeah.
um, they were like, "Dude, just try it." I was like, "I don't know," because I was thinking, I'm picturing you go in and it's like Cobra Kai, like bow to your sensei. We're just gonna smash you into the mat. And I was just like, that doesn't sound appealing in the slightest. They're like, just trust me, just come in and give it a try. And so I did, and I like kind of was hooked, like right out of the gate. I was like,
These people we know, we both know. Or
yeah.
that
So my friend Landon was one of them. I think you know.
that's what I figured. I figured Landon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was the first one that finally was like, dude, just do it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to keep going.
Yeah.
But I think like I I'm not the biggest guy, but I'm bigger. And so like I've been this size since like seventh grade. And so the story of my life has always been, you don't know how big you are. You don't know your own strength. You're going to hurt people. You have hurt people. You have to like let up and like go a little easy. And jujitsu was the first time, other than maybe like football or something, where you can go full speed with intentionality and technique, and you don't hurt people. And like I could be going against somebody who's 150 pounds, and they would just absolutely wipe the mat with me. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like it was breaking my brain.
Mhm.
And so just kind of getting hooked on like I always say that with jujitsu, there's two things that happen. You either just get totally smashed by that person that's way smaller than you or out of shape or whatever. And you're like, this is terrible. I never want to experience this again. I'm never coming back. Or you say, this is terrible. I never want to experience this again. So I'm going to learn this so this doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was the latter. and I just kind of have stuck with it, kind of like you, off and on as much as I can. I've been about 3.5, 4 years, I guess now, but it's been great. It's been so fun.
Yeah. So Landon told you about it. They talked you into it. What is your fam like? Do you have family members that know you do it, or your wife, or people like this? Is always the greatest conversation
Yeah.
because I have friends who do it, who are very highly professional people, or they used to be very passive. And I've asked their spouses about it, and they go, I don't know what he likes about it, but he's watching YouTube videos in the middle of the night now. He's turned into somebody different, and his ear has these bumps on it, and he came home with a blue bruise, and
Yeah.
like there's different geese showing up at the house, and it's all he wants to talk about. I don't know who this person is. Do you have family members, your kids or wife, or are people kind of like whatever, or are there people like you do what?
Yeah, so I think it's funny. It's one of those like you either get it or you don't. And
Yeah.
like, if you do it, you get it. Um, but there is sort of a lot of that with my family because nobody else in my family trains. I've even tried to get my brother to train, who's like really athletic. He played college baseball.
Mhm.
He's just like, no, I'm gonna get injured, and it's like, yeah, maybe, but it's also fun. It's in my mind worth it.
Wait, what? Who's that? Who's your
His name is
brother?
Braden Cox.
I know Braden.
You know Braden?
I never connected that until just now.
Yeah, he's the athletic one of the family for sure.
Okay, he played baseball when I was at Ben Lippen,
Oh, nice.
and he played baseball and he plays the drums.
Yes, very good at that too.
I never knew that was your brother.
Yeah, we don't look very much alike, but
I'm blown away. What?
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, he doesn't want to do it. Your family members don't want to do it. They're just, what is this?
yeah. I think for me, it was. Um, it's not, it's a mental thing as much as it is a physical thing, and so it's one thing to go out and run sprints, and that's just a purely physical thing. But it's just, you're doing this thing where when you're rolling, you can't think about anything else, and if you do, you're going to get totally annihilated.
Yeah, there's a consequence to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I think for that's been the thing that I've tried to explain to the family and the people that don't get it. Of just like, for me, one of the most important things in life is to be competent and capable of doing whatever I need to do. I don't like to feel out of control or just like I'm in the situation and I have no idea what to do. And so in this case, it feels like it checks a lot of boxes of, physically stimulating, mentally, and it allows you to feel confident and competent. So, heaven forbid, if you're ever in a situation, I'm not saying that I'm going to get into some knockdown, drag out fight in the streets, but if something happens, you at least are like, okay, I'm actually kind of not worried about this because I feel like I can handle myself, uh, generally speaking. And so I think that combined with some of the things that you learn through jujitsu that like you just can't learn in the same way in other places. And what I mean by that is like, I mean, even in business, some of the things that you learn, people suck. People will try to attack you from vectors that you don't even realize. Sometimes it's your friends, which really sucks. Um, but you kind of have this, okay, let me give and take. Let me give here so that I could set up this thing to be able to set up this other thing that I'm trying to do over here. And there's sort of like a patience and a strategy to it. And when you're being choked and people are trying to rip your legs off or your arms, that feels a lot more dire. And if you can learn to deal with that, you can learn to deal with the other things in life a lot better because it's like lower stakes, even though some of the stakes feel higher. I don't know if I said that well,
No,
but
I totally understand what you're saying. I have a hard time remembering who I was before jujitsu because it was so long ago.
yeah,
But you don't sweat certain things as
yeah,
much as you used to. Mostly because like you're like if it's a day you did jujitsu, you're like, hey bro, my adrenaline's already been a 10 out of 10.
yeah,
It's not possible to go to a 10 again. So I'm just gonna stay at a 5 out
yeah.
of just like I can't do it again, right? Do you make any connection between what you do and jujitsu? Can you make, or is the beautiful part of it, it's so completely opposite and different? that it allows me to escape from bricker and beam, knowing that I can drive down and go do jujitsu. And for an hour to an hour and a half, I'm not thinking if I have an email from that client who's waiting for something. Is it that there's a connection, or is it the beautiful part of it is they're so disconnected?
Hmm. I'm sure I could weave together some sort of a metaphor that connects the two. But if I'm honest, I think for me, it's more of the latter. So, what I do for a living is what most people do for their hobby. And so, most people will have a garage workshop and they'll make, a random little wooden thing just to turn their brain off from whatever else is happening in life.
Yeah.
But since that's what I do for my living, it's good to just go and do something and just roll around and not have to think about business and life and whatever. So for me, it's more of an escape that this is just this pure thing over here. Occasionally there's some overlap, um, but especially when you own your own business and you're the one in charge, sometimes it's nice to just get to be part of the crew and not be the one that's in charge of everything happening. So I think there's probably a little bit of that element as well.
I find a lot of people who are business owners that one of the greatest things they like about jujitsu is they're not in control.
Yeah.
They're not running the show. They're not the coach.
Hmm.
Everybody's not looking at them.
Hmm.
I fill in and teach once in a while because one is because I know what it's like to run a business.
Hmm.
And I know that it's hard for some people that things happen and somebody can't teach.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard from owning a business. So I said, yeah, man, I'll teach for you. I got it. We're good. Doesn't bother
Hmm.
me. You go do your thing. But I don't think I could ever be a full-time coach in jujitsu because I spend my life coaching.
Hmm.
I need to be a student because part of being a good coach is learning how to be a good student.
Hmm.
And being a really good student is something that I enjoy doing and learning. Um, and going somewhere different and hearing people's take on it and then doing jujitsu. One of the greatest things for me with jujitsu is I know the end story for people when they start and they fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And that is so exciting for me to watch somebody after 6 months come to me and go, dude, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I can't stop. And I go, I know, I told you. I told you. So he's like, I'm almost like I broke my finger last week, but I don't care. I take it
Take it up.
and like it hurts and but I'm going anyway, right? And that's the coolest thing about jujitsu for me is knowing somebody's story because I always tell people when they get 3 to 4 to 6 months in, um, they're like, I love it, I love it. I'm like, just don't be a quitter. Like I
Yeah.
gaslight the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Hey, don't be a quitter. Hey, nobody likes a quitter. When you quit jujitsu, I'm calling you and I'm coming to your home because you're a quitter, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like anytime somebody doesn't show up and they come back after like a month and a half because like something happens, they could have been hurt. I always walk into the gym, I'm like, oh, new student. We got a new guy.
Yeah.
Welcome back, new guy.
Yeah.
Good to see you, right? Um, but there is an accountability with jujitsu. It is cool to know that when you don't show up somewhere, people call you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. People don't have that in every part of their life.
I think that's one of the things that it's hard to explain to people who aren't part of it. Like they always joke about jujitsu cults, and there's plenty of them out there, believe
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
But I think there's the camaraderie aspect of it just as much, because you know not to get too philosophical, but I think like for men especially, we're told don't be too aggressive, don't be angry, don't do this, don't do this, and it's just like you're kind of continually told what not to do, and a lot of times you can feel isolated, where okay, I know all of the things that I'm not supposed to do, and I don't really know where to turn for help. And so in a lot of ways I think that jujitsu meets all of those different requirements of like the physical aspect, the mental aspect, the friendship aspect, the accountability aspect. It just like hits so many different boxes on the checklist. And so I think that's why it's so addictive, because you legitimately want to get better for yourself, but then also to spend time with your friends. And it's just like it's just a place where you can be be yourself, and just have a great time at the same time.
Something happened to me this week. I went and rolled at a different place with some people that I know, and I've been working on certain things. And I roll with a guy that's really good brown belt and trained with people I know. Very good leg lock game. Very, very good.
Yeah.
Much younger than me and a worthy opponent. Very, very good. And I got into a spot to where I could do something, a technique I've been working on, but the technique was on a different leg
Hmm.
that I've been working. So I'm like, man, my coordination's off a little bit. And I got the move wrong and went to finish the move, and he countered with a leg lock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got done, and I'm like, where did that come from? What did I do? And I realized I did the move in reverse on the wrong leg.
Hmm.
No, I did the move on one leg like I would do it on the other leg.
Yeah.
So the move was wrong, reverse, and I got caught, and I went, and dude, it kept me up most of the night as I was breaking down that thing. And I go, where did I make my mistake? And
Yeah.
I said, oh, I settled and I went for it on the other leg, but used the reverse technique because I'm used to doing it on the other leg. That left my foot here and he grabbed it. And when he grabbed it, we made eye contact with it. He made eye contact and went, oh, like that. I was like, I screwed up. And he actually said something to me. He's like, I was not expecting your foot. He goes, I thought I was about to tap and you put your foot here. And I'm like, oh, a foot. Dude, I was up 4, 5, 6 hours going through it, going like, where did I, how did I do that? Like, what am I doing? Just so you know, for white belts and blue belts, the feeling you feel never goes away. And I'm a black belt. It
Yeah.
never goes away where you sit on the corner of the room and you go, I'm contemplating life. Because
Yeah,
I
you never figure it out. Yeah, it's just like another series of just learning and trying to figure out
it's
what happened.
another web. I entered into another web that I need to get out of and I need to problem solve so I don't make that mistake again in the same environment. And I was like, oh, right? That's why I love it,
Yeah.
is because of the problem solving side of it. And I love the fact about jujitsu that you are a bigger person. I even told you, I've even had conversations with you before, and I'm like, hey Josh, it's okay to like you can go. Like
Yeah.
cross face them. You can
Yeah.
grind in the face. You can snatch that. You can go. Like
Yeah.
you can apply pressure. They signed up for this shit. They paid the waiver. Like they wrote the waiver down. You can put it on them a little bit if you want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And I've even said that to you. Like you can go. Like it's
Yeah.
okay. And you can walk into a room in jujitsu. And I have this conversation with my buddies all the time that ask me about jujitsu. And I said, hey guys, the most dangerous person is the dude in the corner that you don't think is like it's the dude that looks like he's a librarian,
Yeah.
right? And like he walked here, so you don't know where he lives.
Mhm.
He had a little backpack. He's kind of scruffy. He walks like hunched over. And then you walk in the room and think, oh, these big monsters, these big tough dudes. And the little guy in the corner puts all these dudes to sleep and then calmly walks out and goes home.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love that about the sport.
Yeah. And
I
that kind
love
of,
it.
yeah, that kind of goes back to what I was saying a few points ago of like, you have that experience, especially if you're a bigger guy and you're just like, what the hell is happening? This is like, this shouldn't happen this way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
Who's this little person? I can't find them, but there's chokes everywhere.
yeah,
And it's humbling for people. It's
yeah.
humbling for people. Uh, and that humility is something I personally need in my life at all times.
Mhm.
I need that humility to hit me in the face once in a while. The best thing that ever happened to me was getting caught this week. I'm telling you, the best thing because I went, oh, I got to get a lot better, right? I got to get a lot better. Even to the point that the kid was actually surprised I made the mistake. I'm
Yeah.
like, Yeah, dude. And then we go back to consequence.
Yeah.
There's an immediate consequence, right?
Mhm.
Um, Man, if there's anything we can do to share your business and your growth and your vision, let us know. I'm going to make sure when we come out with this that we put up people. You don't know what people are going to watch this whole podcast. If they don't see it, they don't know. Like, dude, I caught last night talking, like preparing for this on your Instagram and your website and going through stuff. And I mean, on the front of your website, it has you burning using fire. And like, I can't tell the piece in the back, is that 3D or is there really grooves in it?
Oh yeah, so this is our Orthos console. I don't know if you could see or how well you'll be able to see, but this is
Yeah.
all sculpted. So I'll start with a solid panel of wood, and I'll draw out these lines here, and then I relief carve everything with like a power grinder, and they're all different. All the lines are different. So
I mean, that's incredible because I saw you burning wood, using different things for wood. I mean, the vandalism piece, like, did you just be like, all right, gonna make it look like graffiti?
the cool one, the story on that one quickly is um, anyone who lives in Colombia has been stuck by a train on Assembly Street or Hugie Street,
Don't
most
even
likely,
talk.
at least once.
Your business is on Shop Road. You
Yeah.
know.
And so I, frequently get stopped by these stupid trains, and sometimes they'll just like literally sit there in the middle of the tracks, and you're just like, I guess we're going to be here for the next 45 minutes. And so I was sitting there, I was like the front person next to the train, and the train cars are going by with all of the graffiti that people have done, and I was in the process of designing some new pieces, and I was like, that would be so badass to have a cabinet that looks like we made this beautiful, nice cabinet and then somebody vandalized it. Like that would be a really cool concept. And I've got a friend, a super talented artist. His name is Duval Wins, and he does all type of painting mostly, but also some sculpture. And so I called him and I said, "Hey man, I've got this crazy idea. I don't know if it's going to work, but like, just hear me out."
Yeah.
And he loved the idea, and so we made the cabinet. And then he took the doors and kind of did his graffiti thing on them, and it turned out beautifully.
I
And
think it's awesome. So
yeah,
you have a piece of art that is inspired by the trains in Columbia stopping you. Do you think everybody in Columbia, South Carolina can relate to that piece of art?
I would think so. I mean, if you've ever driven in Columbia at all.
Yes. That is a piece of, you might have people buy that right now and be like, oh, I want to buy that piece of art just to stare at it and get mad at it.
Yeah, for some people, it might bring up a bad memories, but
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Hey, I appreciate you coming on and I appreciate you sharing your story. I appreciate that you have a business in Columbia that does that. I would love to come by the shop
absolutely.
and see what you do. Uh, there's two things I love the most. I really love music and I really love art. And I really love art and I really love music because I don't have an artistic or a musical bone in my body. I can't, my sisters can read music. My sisters can literally like read music, grab an instrument, figure it out, play.
Hmm.
I have no clue. Like I am not artistic. Um, I don't know anything about music, but I love the two. I can choke people, really good at that, but I can't do music. I can't do art. So anytime I see something like what you do, it's so different than anything about who I am and what I can do that I'm blown away by it. I'm blown away by the creativity. You use your hands to make it. It is kind of like from your brain. And so getting you on the podcast to talk about it to me was important because I'm like, I don't know anything about it's so far outside of the realm of what I do, right? It's like, you ever seen Good Will Hunting?
Yeah, yeah.
So one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a good
There's,
one.
where there's a quote in that where he goes, I can't draw a sculpture, do a, I can't hit the ball out of Fenway. When I look at a piano, I see keys and a box of wood. But other than that, he was talking about him doing this art, this problem, this chemistry problem.
Yeah.
But when people came to stuff like that, I could always just play.
Hmm.
And I think there are so many people in this world that when it comes to the one thing they're good at, they didn't learn it.
Hmm.
They didn't take a class for it. When it was time to do it, they could always just play.
Hmm.
And that's where people to me are amazing. Like people are amazing when you're like, well, when it came to that, I could always just play. Well, that's something so far outside of my consciousness and my knowledge that and what the funniest part about this for me, Josh, is when I think we first met, when I was like, well, what do you do? You're like, I make furniture. And I'm like, oh, cool. Moved on. And then I followed you on social, and then you posted something, and I'm like, that guy's such a liar. If there's anybody that's ever downplayed anything in my life, it's this man called himself a furniture maker, and I see this. I was like showing my wife, I was like, hey, I'm a furniture maker, right? You're like, it's like, it's like, somebody saying like, oh, I drive cars and they're NASA or something, or they're NASCAR. So, with that, man, I appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Those are a lot of kind words. I appreciate you having me on and allowing me to tell the story. But I'm just excited. We're all different to your point. We're all different and we all need each other to do the different things. And if we could all do all the things, then we wouldn't need each other. And I appreciate you. And I'm excited for our continued friendship. And I'm excited
Absolutely.
for you to choke me out next time I see you in
Yeah,
class.
yeah. We'll talk, brother.
All right.